Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to interview Ancient about the new Daybreak updates. We're going to cover map changes, survivor tweaks, and the new modes that are getting released. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. About just the updates in general at Daybreak and stuff. My first question, what do you think about them buffing Sadia?
Stupid.
It's just in general?
It's just stupid how she got buffed to begin with.
First,
Pretty sure that she was fine before, with her 5 seconds and then the speed boost. The first change that they made to put her at for like 10 seconds, I have no idea why they even did that to begin with. That literally makes no sense.
I feel like she was already powerful enough, the 5-second block, but after the 10-second chase timer, I feel like they just made her more broken and easier for newer players just to run around and just get a vault block. And
I could be wrong. Sorry to interrupt. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the reasoning is because she had low win rate.
Low win rate?
Yeah. I could be completely wrong, but I heard that's their reasoning on buffing Sadia is because she had low win rate. And to me, that makes 0 sense.
Personally, I think before the buffs, Sadia wasn't played, and that's why she had a low win rate, because no one played her because of how short the block time. And then after them begging for Sadia to get buffed, then they buffed her, and then now a lot more Sadia players are in more servers.
We're begging for buffs.
Another question. What do you think about the Void Skulk buffs just when they released the first time?
They were needed, but they didn't make her any... They didn't make her any better, honestly.
Do you think it just stayed the same?
Yeah, actually. Her infection was pretty much completely useless beforehand, and now with the buffs, at least it is a bit more viable, as it punishes people that are that get infected.
I see.
But as of right now, like even in the beginning, like when the buffs came out and we were playing with Void, we couldn't barely see a difference, honestly. The vault speed was like, definitely noticeable, but it didn't really do too much in chase, honestly, because since the infection is so easily
countered,
avoided. Yeah, countered or avoidable.
Okay. This is a big question. What do you think about Lakeview's quote unquote nerf? Since currently it doesn't seem like a nerf and it seems more like a buff.
Oh yeah, I made an entire video about it. With the map changes for Lakeview and Roanoke Woods. But no, those changes were definitely a buff. They buffed a lot of maps and they buff a lot of areas. And they also gave survivors way more options to traverse the map, making killers like Showstopper easily counterable or Void Scope counterable, since like you don't have to take every single vault in the game.
Yeah,
that's just too many options, too many routes, honestly. You could infinite loop all around the map. Even with the new block timers, it doesn't really matter due to the amount of power you have when transitioning through the maps with all those freaking holes blown into walls and shit like that.
I feel like that was a really bad change for Rain, but they did say that she barely just started creating maps.
Yeah, I didn't know that at the time when making the video, because, well, yeah, nobody told me, but even afterwards, I guess it's kind of relieves some, but honestly, just revert it, or just try to like tweak it.
I do think,
as of right now, like, he's busted.
I do think they do need to tweak it, because personally, I started looking before they fully like released the update. When they were showing pictures, I knew it wouldn't be a buff, since all the holes getting blown in made it just easier to transfer through each vault, and it would make it more harder for newer killers to play the game.
I will say it does help killers sometimes, but nine times out of 10 it helps survivors more.
Okay. Here's my next question. My next question is, do you think they should have implemented pro servers earlier in the game?
Yeah, way earlier. I've been saying this for the longest time that a ranked mode or a pro server mode should be implemented,
Mm-hmm.
but their reasoning behind it was nobody would play it. The game doesn't have enough players. Blah 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 blah.
The game definitely
I
did have enough players because before you got banned, they
Yeah,
had a total of 912, and most of those were level 16Ks.
yeah, I call bull on the like, oh, we don't have enough players. There's definitely enough players, and with the pro servers, there's actually going to be more incentive for people to play because now the game has a competitive aspect,
Yeah.
and it's not a required mode. Like it's not like in Combat Warriors, where once you reach a certain point, you can't go back to like noob servers. No, I
It's
like
like a
pro servers
choice.
should just be an option,
Yeah.
and I think it will benefit the game highly due to the fact that since a lot of people are very competitive, me included,
Mhm.
would grind the shit out of the game
Yeah.
because they just want to compete with other like-minded players.
Mm. Yeah, I do agree with that. Another question. Do you think Star Eater should have been released like way earlier when they fully announced that he was getting worked on?
They said he was gonna come out like what, February, if I'm not mistaken,
They said he was gonna come
and
out
it's
early May, and
yeah,
it's
and
now
it's June.
yeah, and
Taking too long.
they released the experiment as a, I guess like a replacement for them.
Honestly, besides the model, I feel like the killer did not take too much time to work on. If I'm being completely honest.
Well, right now Star Eater is becoming basically multiple killers in one. Because now, according to some sources, they're saying that he's gonna be like possessed and idle in one.
I heard, well, from the gameplay that I saw, it's sort of like possessed, where he could just leave different points around the map, and if
Mhm.
a survivor goes near it, it gets triggered, so he could teleport there.
Yeah,
Sort of like, what is that one killer in Dead by Daylight? I forgot. Where like it's like, was it Wraith or something?
I think so.
Where Hag, the Hag. There we go. Like
Uh,
she leaves traps on the floor, and if a survivor walks over, she could teleport.
oh, okay.
So I'm pretty sure that's what they got their inspiration from,
They
and
did.
Genshin Impact, because
Oh,
the
well,
design.
yeah. Um, they did say how he's gonna become also like almost a kind of like a survivor. His passive is somewhat gonna be like Serena's perk with the trail.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Serena.
yeah, so you know how like Serena leaves a trail. According to sources, he's gonna have like the same thing, but they're not gonna be like noticeable. It's gonna be like a faint type of footsteps, but it'll be there.
Is it gonna be just a design choice or like a mechanic?
I think it's gonna be a mechanic. It's probably gonna be his passive, which
Okay.
I think
So
that would be way too broken, especially for newer players, since they'll just be finding
uh,
other survivors fast.
I'll have to figure out because this is new information, so I don't really have a clear picture or anything like that.
Yeah.
What?
What do you think about Yara now that she got, I think, somewhat buffed?
So beginning, where honestly, I'm not gonna talk about how she was before because before she used to have
Mm,
eight stats with 2 repair, but then they sort of buff slash nerfed her to have 7 8 and then 3 repair.
mm,
But for some unexplicable reason, they buffed her to where um her passive would activate under 30 stamina, which uh, which didn't even work, by the way, because I tested it. I was playing Yara,
mm.
and like even if I went to 29, it wouldn't activate. It would have to activate until I went to 25, which I believe she like they sort of planned it. It's weird.
Mm,
It's weird, but that buff by itself is inherently was dumb, and I think they realized it because immediately afterwards they nerfed it. They nerfed Yara where her her passive activation will be under 25, and it will have a 15-second. They added 15 seconds to the cooldown for her passive, and I think it was already like this, except for the added time to the cooldown. But every single time where I was a little bit under 30 stamina, it would not activate. So I don't know if it was a buff or like a buff on, I mean, a bug on their end, or just a coding issue.
I think it might have been a coding issue.
When they say that, oh yeah, her passive activates under 30 stamina, no, it doesn't. It activates under 25. So honestly, they could just leave it alone, but change the description.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm pretty sure they knew they messed up with the buff because it just inherently made Yara way too powerful. Because she was already powerful to begin with as a looper due to her being able to consistently infinite loop, since she was able to survive the duration of the 75-second vault block.
Yeah.
Like when I'm playing Yara, it is way too easy to just transfer between two loop areas consistently, like without dying at all, or unless I'm going against a host or something, or someone that could cut off bolts. There was literally no danger at all playing Yara. So the buffs are fine. It makes her less oppressive and easier to chase. But I think good players are still going to be able to consistently use Yara as an infinite loop.
Yeah. Here's a question. So Sadia did get now protected for vault hits, and considering that they know that vault hits is a bug and they're protecting Sadia off of it, do you think they should fix vault hits or make that to like just a whole entire mechanic in the game?
Make it into a mechanic. They need to make vault hits into a mechanic because one, the way vault hits work as of right now is that if they hit you within the first few frames of the vault animation, that's a vault hit. But sometimes there's killers with bugs where you go vaults and then they still hit you after the vault. That should be a consistent thing, because it now, first of all, it raises the skill gap, makes killers way more easier to play. And it requires survivors to be way more, way more smart about their vaults.
Yeah.
Because some people will be waiting at the vault until you get there and then proceed to vault because they know they have invincibility frames throughout the entire animation, besides the first few seconds. But if they don't have any invincibility frames and vault hits are a thing, just like in Dead by Daylight, it forces survivors to play more safer. And it makes killers way more viable, honestly, throughout the entire board.
Have you seen the new skins for the new killers? Not the new killers, but like just in general, the new skins.
I saw some of them. I saw the principal skin was ugly. The stalker one was ugly. I don't know what's going on with was it Void or Host?
Yeah, it's
like
a host
fungus. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really mess with those zombie skins for the killers. And as for survivors, I haven't seen that except for I think Evelyn, which looked fine. I liked it. That's the extent of what I saw.
Okay. So here is a question that should have been asked a little bit more earlier. What do you think about the experiment? Like when they released it in the PTS and then
in PTS he was fun. Everyone thought he was broken due to the fact that he was able to burrow, slow down, and easily catch up to literally any survivor full sprinting. But I think there was clear clear counters to that, especially vaults. Vaults were the easiest counter to experiment because if you are staying, there's a little cooldown between after during his unburrow, he could still move in PTS, but he had a cooldown before he was able to swing. But throughout that entire time, even while burrowing, he is not able to vault. Not like Ghost can. So vaulting is the hard counter against the rat when going against them. So, you know, at the time of playing it, yeah, it looked like he was broken. Just that's because he's new. Nobody knows how to counter it. But after watching the footage, when I was editing, there's a clear counter against how he was in PTS. But they butchered the rat. He's now bottom tier, bottom mid tier. Honestly, he's not that good.
Okay.
His burrow is very ineffective because again, if you are near a vault where he can't like simply go around, which is pretty common honestly. If you just get to a vault, he cannot catch you because either most of the time when people play as the rat, they would unburrow next to people on a gen, and then he would proceed to kick the gen. And while he's doing that, the slow just goes away immediately before he starts to chase. Yeah, there's a slowdown in vault speed for survivors, but that doesn't do much honestly at chase. Like it doesn't change. It's nothing at all. Vault speed, slowdown for survivors do not work like killer speed. I mean, it's because there's no cooldown after vaulting with survivors. If there was a little bit of cooldown, if like they changed the mechanic to where instead of the animation of you vaulting is slower, the after you vault, there's a little slowdown after that. That would be way more effective as a mechanic. But as of right now, vault slowdowns for survivors don't mean anything. And the way that he is, where he's completely immobile while burrowing, it gives survivors way more. It gives survivors too much time to get away before he can actually act on his ability being used. Especially since you could literally see the dirt pit. You could see him coming from a mile away if you're paying attention. So, with that, the rat is not good of a killer. Honestly, he has no chase potential.
Okay. So here is one of the changes since they butchered this character. What do you think about now the farming shields?
Stupid. I still think it's dumb, honestly. It's no as viable as I still, in my opinion, it's still a viable strategy when it comes to reviving survivors because people say yeah, 20 stud radius is small. When you're seeing it in game, it looks way bigger than it actually is. Like it feels bigger because people's like, oh, the killer could just wait outside the radius. Yeah, you have to wait outside of a 20 stud radius. That gives survivors enough time to run away.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge distance, and they'll be full sprinting with full stamina. They're out of there. And then if the killer messes up and gets a little bit too close, that's a shield with speed boost, by the way. If the killer is going straight for them as they're reviving, I already said this during my little rant with Zenny that one stream. They could body block, or they could protect the person that was surviving. But even then, when farming, the person that gets farmed is rarely able. I mean, the person that is farming the survivor always gets away, even if the killer just hauls ass at this person reviving. But now, the person that's getting revived doesn't have to worry at all. So basically, that's a free revive, and then the killer has an option to either chase the person that just got revived, which is already running away, plus they got speed boost, or chase the person that is already, or chase the reviver, which most likely they're gonna be running away. And especially with like Emil, like Emil is gonna easily be able to farm because now he gains, it gains stacks.
Yeah.
So even if he farms, if the killer hits the person that already has the shield, he still has his shield. But if the killer hits him, they'll literally act as a protection net. So he gains a stack back for farming. It's pretty dumb, honestly. It's a dumb mechanic, and it gives more power to revivers that do well, especially Emil. That's like just a huge buff to Emil. Not to mention Elizabeth is now kind of a get out of jail free card. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I do agree with that. This is a question that they probably maybe should have fixed earlier. What do you think about the Mammo hitbox for Bat?
Mammo hitboxes were always weird. I will say. They always had sort of just. It was always a ping issue as well as it's the same ping issue as killer.
Mm,
You know, it's survivor sided the way the bat works, honestly,
okay.
and it has weird properties. They got rid of the lunge, but they still haven't got rid of the invincibility frames. Like even if you miss and the killer swings at you, you'll still have invincibility frames, making her able to go hard counter literally any killer.
Mm,
She's able to hard counter Showstopper Mirror by literally hitting the bat on Showstopper.
mm,
She's able to hard counter Host because she could just use the bat to go through the traps. And she's a hard counter to literally Warden and Slasher because I don't know about Warden, but for Slasher, if you throw the knife at a Mammo and she swings, she eats the knife.
that's a thing.
Yeah, you could bat the knife.
That's actually stupid. What the hell?
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing is, you can't really nerf Mammo. You
Mm,
can't, because if you nerf her cooldown, like, she's gonna be unviable, honestly.
mm,
And then if you buff her, like, nobody wants her to get buffed, but everyone wants her to nerf. The only reason why they want her to nerf is because she's a good survivor. She's one of the best supports.
mm.
I call her support, but she's a stun character.
Yeah.
The way that you hard counter Mammo, and it doesn't even work with good Memos. You just now honestly you can hard counter Mammo. Just if you get hit by her bat, you tunnel the Mammo. That's literally how you go against her.
Just tunnel. Okay.
Yeah, you just tunnel.
What do you think about the old vault system before they removed the extra vault? Like for Gen Rushers, since they said they would be gaining an extra vault before it got removed. What do you think of that before?
What the extra? What do you mean? The extra vaults for Gen Rushers?
Yeah, before they removed it.
Makes vaults. It makes looping way easier for Gen Rushers. Too easy. It was too easy, especially with characters that had like less speed but way more stamina, like Dante and Emery.
Mm-hmm.
Those were busted, especially Emery. Emery was completely busted with the extra vault speed because he had 7 stamina.
Yeah.
Not including that the fact that he could literally do anything he wants in the game. He has the highest stat spread, and he has a get out of jail free card.
Okay.
With extra vault, that made him the best survivor in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just made Gen Rushers way easier to play, and they gave them the advantage more than loopers, honestly, because an extra vault, it's just way more valuable than having more speed and stamina.
Okay. What do you think about the possess buff? Since they buffed her now when she teleports to her orb. So now when she teleports to her orb, she gains a speed boost for like a few seconds, and then it goes away.
My thing is always still the same, honestly. Just get rid of the damn.
The cooldown.
Just get rid of. Yeah, just get rid of the cooldown when teleporting. Like when you teleport, allow the possessed to be able to swing immediately. It's not. I swear, it's not gonna be as broken as it is. It's gonna be way more high. You need a way higher skill gap, honestly, when playing her, because if you miss, you mess up the teleport and you miss the swing, you're done. But for good players, possess is gonna be like super high tier because she takes skill to play, but she will be way more oppressive in chase. And it will do well, honestly, in every single way because, one, it's not gonna be busted for. She's not gonna be busted due to the fact that if you see that orb, you could just transition to another vault. You could literally run away from it. That's the easiest counter you can do. And the second thing is, unless the killer is smart enough to be like preset where he's looking, he's gonna teleport. And just, how most possessed players, when they teleport, they just spaz out, like they don't know where to look because they lost track of the survivor. That's the same thing that's gonna happen. But at least with this, she'll be able to, get a chance to actually down the person because that little cooldown, especially if they're next to a vault, they just vault away. They literally vault away.
Yeah.
It is so easy to get out of possess teleport, especially with her lunge speed. Yeah, it's way too easy.
Okay.
So I just say to get rid of the entire
Cooldown after
entire cooldown.
teleporting.
Yeah.
What do you think about the 2v8 mode that is getting released soon?
Good. It's fun over everything, honestly.
In my personal opinion,
Alright.
it might be broken.
When it's a that's gonna be a casual mode. It's not. Nobody's gonna look at this and say, "Oh yeah, this needs to be nerfed because it's not fair in 2v8 mode." Like,
Yeah.
no. When I'm looking at a 2v8 mode, fun over anything. That's my take on it.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much it for my questions.
All right then.
All right. Thank you for your time, Misha. Have a good day.
Yep. No problem. You too.